Coach Peggy Show. All things wellness with Coach Peggy Wilms. How many people in your life have told you you're half of this or half of that? Are you settling? No more. This show is about all things, and you deserve it. It's about your money, your lifestyle, your beliefs, and even romance. We extinguish excuses and raise the bar to all things possible. It's time to use your ATM. You know, your all things mindset. Welcome to the Coach Peggy Show. Bold, badass, and never half in.
Hey, you guys, welcome. I am your host. This is Peggy Wilms here, where we talk all things real wellness, real well-being, where real people have real problems. We find real solutions, real results, real stories, whatever's real. And I want to do a little bit of housekeeping first before I introduce my amazing guest. So let's talk about a couple things. At the half-hour mark, he has no idea what's going to go on, but you want to make sure you come back after commercial. We're going to do a lightning round, ask him some questions that are surely to be embarrassing. And then if you have any questions or ever want to be on my show, email me at peggy@allthingswellness.com or visit my website. I've got a media tab and all sorts of fun things. All right, deep breath. Namaste. Okay, we're going to talk about homelessness does not discriminate. And my guest, we're talking about a story where this person lived on the streets for 4 years with his mom. We're going to kind of go back. And I also want to share like how he turned stuff around. And I'm talking big. His mission right now is to help people help themselves. And let's do a little bit of statistics because I want to chat with him about this. So when you guys think of homelessness, do you think of children? I know for myself, I didn't until I started working kind of in this homeless, unsheltered field. Over 40% of the homeless in the United States are under the age of 18. Shocking. They're calling them America's hidden population. 1 in every 30 children in the United States of America. So a kindergartner or first grader that could likely be homeless or unsheltered. There are over 150 million homeless people, 33% families and children. 1.6 billion, which is 20%, have inadequate housing. And the last one, over 200,000 people will sleep on the streets tonight in the United States of America, which brings tears to my freaking eyes. Let me introduce my guest before we, I want to get started with him. He looks super cool. Like I could have worn my bandana too, So Christopher, again, as I said, he lived with his mom on the streets for 4 years while he was a teenager in Orange County, like, whoa. And he is known as the unstoppable, no excuses coach. He's an author, speaker, workshop facilitator. I'm going to keep going on. Retreat leader. He has his master's in organizational management. YouTube channel, RAW Unscripted Show. Christopher, I don't have enough time to keep talking about you. And you're also a media partner of mine, and I've known you for several hot minutes, and you're working with us on the Unsheltered Project. So thank you so much. And hi, buddy.
What's going on? Nice to see you again, my dear. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. So, and with those stats, I wanted to just ask you, because they go up, like, especially after COVID and with the economy, it's kind of like not surprising they've gone up. What were your thoughts when you kind of listened to those? Because I know you have a young son, and thinking of 1 out of 30 in his class, if he has 30 people, like, what are your thoughts with those stats?
It's mind blowing. It's heart crushing. It's heart crushing, especially when we live in an affluent society and an affluent world where you've got so many people with so much money that have the opportunity to make a correction in this situation, or that don't. And it's all about the greed and the ego and all the other political stuff. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking when I drive down the street and I see families and I see people out there doing this, and I see it getting worse and worse. I don't follow the news or follow politics much, but it's absolutely heartbreaking because there is opportunities for us to rectify this. There is opportunities for us to address the deeper issue, which is the mental health situation. But no kid should have to experience this. Parents should really get their stuff together. There should be opportunities out there to rehabilitate these people, give them opportunities, but there's no money in it. And that's the problem. Our jail system is corrupt, and it's all built on, people being on the inside and making a ton of money from that population. And it's heartbreaking.
Absolutely. Amen. And, my producer, Sierra, she's probably thinking, oh my God, these are 2 of the fastest speaking people on the face of the planet. Hi.
No, actually, I found, what's that guy? Armazi. I just forgot his name.
Does he talk
I just
faster
been,
than you?
I've just been whatever his name, Daniel Hermosi. Yeah, is that his name?
Oh,
Alex Hermosi. He talks super fast. Like I have a hard time keeping up with him. So I've actually worked on slowing down a little bit, but it feels weird.
I know. I think people actually listen to other people at 1.5 times anyway. I'm guilty of it because I'm like, when people are processing, I'm when I'm walking. So funny. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, all
Squirrel.
right. Squirrel. I've known you for a while. You and I have interviewed each other. You're a podcaster, radio, you do all of that stuff, podcasting. We do retreats, all of that stuff we've done before. What I didn't know so I freelance for my publisher, who you also know. And what I didn't know is when I took a peek, what an honor to take a peek at this manuscript of this memoir of your life that you've been writing for a long, hot minute. There's so much I didn't know about you, bud. And I want to ask you, because in our profession, or at least me personally, I'll speak for myself, in our profession, we have to act like we kind of got it figured out. Like we know what we're doing, or why would people hire us, right? So
Right.
when I'm struggling with my eating disorder, sometimes it's been hard until like the last 5 years where I'm like, I'm going to be transparent. I mean, there's some subjects that we don't chat about, like you said, politics, the news, sexuality, religion. I pull away from those because I frankly don't care as long as it's not affecting their mental health. But how did you feel, or what was your thought process when you're like, I'm going to put my memoir out there, but I also do this for a living now?
That was exciting. It truly is. I mean, back in the day, I would never admit what I'd been through. When people ask me about my childhood and things of that nature, I made up my childhood and everything else because I was deadly embarrassed of the fact that I had to dig through garbage cans to collect cans and newspapers every day so we could feed the cats, so my mom could have her cigarettes and whatnot. It was embarrassing to say that I was physically abused at home, and I felt like a piece of, I was bullied at school. I was bullied on my block. I had zero confidence. That was embarrassing stuff to have sit there and I'm a coach and I can help you get the unstoppable mindset. But it was pretty early on that I just started realizing that people were saying, "Oh, Chris, you're always so positive and you always have it so together," and and they were looking at this 1 minute, picture of me. And then I just realized I need to be honest with these people. And this was a long, long time ago. And it was scary at first, but people came out like, "Oh my God, and you're this? And you went through all of that and you did this? Oh my God, I have such respect for you." And I did that also to let people know, no matter where you've been in your life, you can make those changes in your life and become successful like I have. I mean, if I can do it, literally that's not a saying. If I can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to take that imperfect action every day and be unstoppable, which is what I preach about.
No, that's awesome. I know you and I spent a long time in corporate America too, which is really different when somebody else is writing your check and your own transparency versus working for ourselves. And it's interesting because you and I are both, mindset mentors. This is what we teach. So to be transparent and authentic is required when we work for ourselves. There's no marketing. There's no boss telling us to say or not to say. And especially when we're telling our clients, like, be honest with me. Like, I don't care if you lie to yourself, have
Right.
at it. But you want me to help you, then you need to tell me the truth. Because honestly, can't get these minutes back. Like, be honest with me or whatever. So really about 4 or 5 years, and I know you respect this, is I really took on the storytelling thing, because in years of my industry, I really think that people are, and I've said this on every show in the last year, I think they're sick of self-help, sick of to-do lists, sick of that accountability that's a checkoff, sick of tracking food, sick of that stuff that you just totally hold yourself so, guilty over. And we're connecting with the people. Like, your story is not only going to affect people who've been homeless or been an addict or been on it. We're all one paycheck from being homeless, one freaking paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are touching more lives, like even myself, right, who hasn't been there, for me to connect and go, whoa. And I believe from the bottom of my heart, until we educate people with them really knowing, like, how do you have a right to judge? Like, you don't know what you don't know. You think that person wants to be there, or they're mentally ill, or they're an addict. Like, do you know? So when we go back to your life, you mentioned a lot about preteen stuff, and so did you see this type of an outcome where literally being on the streets, which most kids don't know about, did you see that eventually happening, or in the light at the end of the tunnel with your mom? It just happened?
Yeah, I never knew homelessness existed. I'd never really seen homelessness. And then it was just literally on May 10th, 1982, we left our house and we jumped in the family station wagon with not only just me and my mom, it was 18 cats and 4 dogs. because my mother had 30 cats. People say, oh my God, that many cats. I'm like, well, there was actually 30 cats in the house, but we could only catch 18 before the sheriff showed up. And so we actually, I talk about it in the book. We had to go back every night and try to search for those cats. We had 18 of them in the car, 4 dogs, 4 full-size dogs in a 1969 Country Squire station wagon. But no, I had no idea what homelessness was. I thought everybody had deserved, at least deserved to have a roof over their head. I never had seen that before. But, during that process, I met a lot of homeless people, and I met homeless people that chose to be there, that enjoyed it. Some people like to go be homeless, get in jail for a little while, and then get out. I met all types of people. I met people who were just struggling. They were just, like $900 short of getting a deposit down on an apartment and being able to do it, but they just could never come up with the money. I saw all ramifications, all sides of it.
When you guys went on the streets in Orange County, obviously you must have lived somewhere around that area, right? Did you drive off from like Arizona? Where was your original city? Is that where you
No, it was in Orange County. Yeah. We actually moved. I was born in LA County in a city called Inglewood. Then we moved to Orange County in a city of Anaheim. And so that very first time we actually the book is broken up into chapters by where I stayed at. We went to a motel for a week. And so we traded nights sleeping in the car to make sure the animals didn't get caught or anything like that. But then we just traveled around different parts of Orange County, finding cheap motels to stay in. Every once in a while, we'd go to a church and get a voucher for a week. So we'd be able to stay in a motel for a week. And then sometimes we'd be sleeping in the car. And we just went wherever we could be not seen. That was the biggest thing, is not to be seen by the police because of the animals.
Literally
obviously.
bouncing around.
So it was every time I go through Orange County, I live in Riverside County now, which is just north of Orange County. Every time I go back in Orange County, literally I find memories of what we did or where we were, or bicycle riding, collecting cans, or some memory. We go to Disneyland all the time now, and it's crazy because we stayed in a motel near Disneyland. And I remember riding my bike around Disneyland, seeing all the happy kids, being all frolicky and eating in the restaurants. And we were like eating like barely anything. And I just remember being so sad, like we're so close to the happiest place on earth. And I'm so proud now that I get to take my son there, but I still see homeless people around there. So I always do what I can, if I can, to help them out.
So tell our listeners, at what age did mom go, let's get in, the wagon and go? Like, what age were you? And what did she say? How did that evolve where you said, I'm going to take this backpack and we're leaving?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I was in the 7th grade at the point. I was halfway through the 7th grade, and all my life I'd been bullied, but between 6th grade and 7th grade, I grew a lot. And I just grew tired of being bullied. And I had somebody tell me, like, they're always going to bully you until you stand up to them. And so in 7th grade, I got into a fight, and I wound up beating the what out of somebody because I had so much rage inside of me that I became the bully. And so I became the bully, and then I became the cool kid. And so I was skipping classes, smoking pot, and all that stuff. So then I got expelled for fighting. And so I went home to tell my mom this, and she tells me, she goes, I got some bad news. And I said, so do I. And she goes, well, we're going to lose the house. And I'm like, oh, your bad news beats my bad news. And we didn't even get to my bad news. And so, yeah, on May 10th, 1982, I was 13 years old. And because my mother wouldn't give up any of her cats or her animals, my grandfather couldn't do anything for us. He absolutely forbid. He's like, I'm not going to do anything for you unless you get rid of some of these cats. She's like, I'm not going to get rid of any of my cats. And so we had no other choice but to go into the station wagon. I was 13.
Yeah. And that's one of the stats on the families and the kiddos. Some of it, those people end up because of domestic on the street and on the move. I'm working with an author right now, that's 2 of them actually in Canada, who are literally using pseudonyms for our Unsheltered book because they're on the run.
Wow.
So domestic can get you there. But with kids, the research that I've done is most often it's either that they are having issues alone and they go out on their own, not even knowing what they're getting their, selves into because of safety and things like that. Oh, yeah. But the mom and the kids coming out of this situation that's more home related versus a kid who tried to cocaine and is like, I'm going to go hang out on the streets with all of those. It's mostly kids getting disheveled with home stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really similar with what happened to you. So you saw some scary stuff. How did you, and your mom was struggling a little bit. And so did you take on that kind of, I'm the man role and I've got to protect her, so screw that I'm a kid thing? Like, did you just suppress your teenage years and say, peace out, now I'm a man?
Yes, it's pretty surprising because I didn't realize how much I did that until I'll go fast forward in the story a little bit. I got invited to go back to that school I dropped out of later in life to speak to those 7th and 8th grade kids. And I was shocked, Peggy. I was shocked when I walked in the gymnasium and they were walking the kids in. And I said, no, I thought I was here to see the 7th and 8th grade class. And they're like, that is 7th and 8th graders. I picture myself so much bigger in the responsibilities that I had as the quote unquote man of the family, that I was shocked. I was like, I was that little when I was doing that. God, I look like a little kid. It really blew my mind. So yeah, I really did take on that responsibility because my mom chased everybody out of her life. She chased her first husband out of her life. She chased my biological sister. We're half related, who I don't talk to anymore. She chased everybody out of her life. So I felt like I couldn't leave her. Like I had people, like my grandfather said, you can come live with me and go to school. I had somebody else later down in the story, Helen, she offered to take me in and send me to school. I just felt bad. I could not be the last person to desert her. And I felt I can't give up on her. And I never did. I never gave up on her.
And you guys stayed close, even though did you, instead of getting angry at her, you looked at the misfortune in it, right? I mean, versus.
I was pissed at her. I was mad. Yeah, she kept choosing the cats. I mean, every day it was cat food, dog food, cigarettes, beer, and then whatever was left oftentimes were crackers because that was cheap, or sandwiches or something, or 39-cent hamburgers. Because like you can get 2 of those for less than $1. You know, you go collect the cans. She always chose the animals over me. Like there was never an opportunity. Actually, one time we did win the lottery. She won a $5,000 scratcher, and I'm like, oh my God, we can get an apartment. I can go back to school. This is our ticket out of here. This is our ticket. And she says, I don't want an apartment. She goes, I want a 4-bedroom house with a pool. And I'm like, come on, Mom, really ridiculous. I mean, like, we have an opportunity to get out of this situation. You can go back to your occupation. She was a purchasing agent. Like we can do this. And she wound up blowing the money, and we wound up staying in that motel.
Okay, so tell everybody how long that you were on the streets, just so we can build up, because I really want to get to the place, like how you turned it around, why you turned it around, how you look at, what's going on today. But so all of a sudden what age as a teenager, and do you splice off and go your own way as a man, and how you continue to support her? What were the next steps?
Yeah, literally we were off and on, in and out of the hotels or the motels for 4 years. So I lived in an abandoned garage, or lived in an abandoned van for a little bit, lived in a garage for a little bit. We lived everywhere. And my mother was actually through the process. She was sexually violated. She was raped. Some guy
on the streets.
Yeah.
Right. It's so unsafe for everyone. Women. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, some guy enticed her with a bunch of aluminum cans. So she drove the car over to his house and wound up getting raped. And she wound up testifying against him. It was a whole long ordeal. So even though we were in this process, she was like, this guy's not going to get away with this. There was so much stuff. I mean, I tried to kill myself twice. Unfortunately, I sucked at it. Honestly, I was 17 years old when we got out of it. I was 17 years old. And I was so sick of everything. I just wanted to die, literally. But I didn't want to. I just didn't see there was any hope, any opportunity for us to get out of this. I figured this is going to be my life for the rest of my life. I'm 17 years old now. I was becoming a man. I didn't have a girlfriend. I wasn't hanging out with my friends very much. And then I came back to this motel we were staying at, this sleazy, dirty, skeezy motel. And I walk back in, and this black guy comes walking up to me. He's all, hey, man, you want to buy a carton of Reds? And I said, no, man, it's cool. I said, I don't smoke them. He's like, oh man, come on, man. All you guys smoke Reds. And I said, no, man, actually I smoke cool menthols. He's like, what, are you trying to punk me? Because all my black friends smoke Newports or Cools or Benson and Hedges. Right. Not a stereotype. All my black friends do. They did. And so I went to reach in the back of my pocket to pull out my cool menthols and kind of tell the guy buzz off. And as I did that, he put a 9mm gun to my forehead. He's like, oh, I know you're just racist and all these different stuff. He had just gotten out of prison later on, I found out. And so he had the gun to my head, and I pull out the pack of cigarettes and I show it to him. And I said, hey, listen, here's there. I said, I don't care what color your skin is. I said, I grew up in Inglewood. I was the only white kid in a black neighborhood. I don't care what color your skin is. I care what color the carton of cigarettes is. And if you had a carton of Cools for $5, I would give you $5. I said, but I don't. So if you're going to pull the effing trigger, pull the trigger. And I figured it was going to be click, and then it was going to be over. And I thought, I'm not going to have to deal with this anymore. My mother's going to finally realize what I meant to her, and she's going to have to do this all by herself. And then fortunately, a guy ran out of the motel room. We were in a dark part of the back part of the motel, and he ran. He's like, no, him and his moms are cool. Him and his moms are cool. Another black dude we had been helping. Like we always even if we were broke, we would always try to help other homeless people, or, do whatever we could. And so fortunately, the guy didn't blow my brains out. And then at that point, I really found myself thinking, geez, I'm going to get out of this situation in one of 3 ways. I'm going to get out of here in a cop car because I was doing bad things with bad people. I'm going to get out of here in a pine box because I'm literally about to get killed. I got carjacked once also, by the way. Or I'm going to have to take responsibility for my life and get out of this situation. And because I was choosing number 3, a couple of days later, an opportunity opened up for us for me and my buddy to go rent an apartment in Huntington Beach. And I thought, finally, my mom is going to tell me, like, Chris, you need to go. You need to take this opportunity. My boss was leaving, and he wanted to leave us at the apartment because he knew we were in tough times. And he's like, I want to give you guys an opportunity, a chance. And so I went back and I told my mom, and I said, hey, I got this opportunity, you know, I'll still come back and take care of you. And I thought, you know what, she's going to say, Chris, you should do that. I've screwed up as your mom. You know, this is a great opportunity. You know, if you promise to come back and help me financially or whatever, you know, you should go do it. And she called me every name in the book, made me feel like absolute crap. And I went anyway. And so I still went back there to the motel and helped her. We had all the animals inside of a motel room at that point. So there was about 18 cats inside of a 10 by 10 room for a while, and one dog. The story's long. There was the other dogs got rid of. But at that point, basically, I just started taking responsibility for my life.
We either end up like our parents or not like our parents. I was just talking to my dad about that the other day, and you know, that's the hard part, because sometimes we're chasing something we've never had. It's kind of like when you don't know how it is to eat clean or work out. You don't like know what you're chasing because you haven't been there, and it sucks as you're chasing it. But you did that. You didn't know really how, you know, how hard work can pay off, and you can have a roof over your head, food in your mouth, and respect, because obviously you deserved respect. I want to go from where you were, where you turned it around. We're going to come back after a commercial break here in a little bit, but I want to go to when you went to college, when you really, because you had a lot of little, not luck, but serendipitous things that happen that can evolve, where it's just like the apartment, right? It just kind of shows up. This opportunity kind of shows up, and you can, if you slow down and you breathe, you do some little Zen, you can see those things. But if you don't, and you're just, you and I can both be like this, to-do list, get it done, let's go. But I'll admit that sometimes those clues have to smack me upside the head with a baseball bat to go, Peggy, 18th time while we've been trying to tell you this. But so I want to go into like how you got into the college, and then how you got into corporate America, what you did, all of those things, because then we're going to use your knowledge, your experience, your heart towards looking at your kid, and say, what the hell can we do to kind of turn this around as citizens? So, okay, you guys, we're going to be right back. So stay tuned, and we're going to come back first for something lighthearted, like a lightning round stuff. Let's just chill since we're not drinking. Of course, Christopher knows I don't, but he'd have a Jack for me. Oh, hey.
Got water.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
I just quit drinking yesterday, by the way.
Hey, you know, everybody's a quitter.
Yeah.
So, all right, Sierra, take us away, and we're going to be right back, you guys. Hey, you guys, I'm so glad you came back, because surely that you did. Okay, we've got Christopher Rausch here. We're having some stimulating conversation, some education. You're surely going to learn something. I'm asking you to listen to him as a storyteller. I'm asking you to connect and remove some judgment and be compassionate and respectful of the homeless population, the unsheltered population. The majority of them do not want to be there. They have not asked to be there. There's multiple reasons. We're going to start off just real quickly with a lightning round. I do this with everybody. Before we do that, hop onto my website at allthingswellness.com. On the author tab, I have a lot of projects going on, and some of those you can share your stories, your true and personal story, because you're doing us a disservice if you don't share your story. That's what I'm saying. All right, quick giveaway as well. Email me at the end of this show, Peggy at allthingswellness.com, and I'm going to give you some autographed books. Send them your way. Hi, Christopher.
Hello, Peggy.
Hello, my brother from another mother and father. All right, so let's do, I'm going to give you some unlimited supply of anything. Doesn't matter what it is, unlimited, rest of your life. What do you want it to be?
Like tangible?
Ooh, you know where you're going? Compassion and love. I want to be loved for the rest of my life.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking. I mean, my whole goal in this world is to make this world a better place for our kids and our kids' kids. And so, yeah, I would love peace. I would love peace and understanding. I would love people to, just to get to know one another, love one another, be more respectful to each other. Material possessions are great, but at the end of the day, it's all about the emotions and the things that you can do with your God-given gift. And that's, for me, that's what I'd want more of. I see so much pain and suffering in the world, whether it's the homeless population, whether it's wars going on. You know, we all deserve a loving chance in this world. And so anything to do with that, I would take that in a New York second.
Oh my God, that's amazing. You know, I was just thinking, just pinged because you and I squirrel. You know, a lot of people have cars that are saying Bentleys, whatever, you know, but a lot of people don't have Bentleys. They don't. One thing that we all have is a heart. We all have, majority of us, unless you're pathologically and sociopathically cellularly driven to be a butthead. Most of us do want to do the right thing every single day. And we have a heart, and we can learn empathy, and we can learn compassion. We can. Second lightning round question.
Okay.
What puts a smile on your face instantaneously?
Seeing my son laugh.
I knew no, seriously. I knew you were going to say this, because I always kind of try to find some fun lightning round stuff. And I thought that's exactly, there's like nothing like that intake. Like my grandson and I were playing the other day, and I did a video on it, and he just, that giggle, Christopher, when he was 6 months old, like just dying belly giggle. All right. The last thing that I want to ask you is, do you have, I'm dying to know this because I'm sure I don't know it. Do you have a hidden talent that we don't know about?
Do I have a hidden talent that we don't know about?
Yes, soldier.
Hidden talent.
Do you hula hoop for an hour?
I can't juggle. I can play guitar a little bit. A hidden talent. Can
you flip pancakes with a pan and no spatula?
Nope. My talent really is all about inspiring people, but I think my hidden talent, I'm a good organizer. I'm really good at that. My hidden talent, I guess I'd have to say, if I don't do it a lot anymore, but I used to love drawing letters. And so I could take like somebody's name and draw their name in such a cool way. I just like to draw letters in different ways. And so I guess that I always thought about selling them, but I haven't done them in so long, but I never want to
say that on your website, like on your TikTok, on everything. You should like do TikToks while you're doing that, Holmes. Like that's a brilliant.
I've done it in forever. I used to do it all the time.
That's amazing. No, people
I'll take like the word love and just like sketch it out in such a unique way. And then I would, You're such a, but I guess that's my hidden talent. But yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I work on cars. I play guitar every once in a while.
You did it.
Yeah, I can't juggle chainsaws. I don't know.
You just made me happy. You just survived lightning round. Yippee-ki-yay.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Right. Yippee-ki-yay.
Bruce Willis.
Oh,
can't say the second part though.
Bless his heart. Okay, so you are now in your late teens. Are we heading to college? What do we want to be? What do you see for your future? Like, what's up?
Yeah, that was an interesting process. I mean, I went back and I got my GED when I was 18 years old. I found a mentor in the girl I started dating, and this very successful gentleman who was a vice president of a trucking company had really nice furniture in a house that you don't even, the room in the house that you don't sit in. He had one of those rooms. I didn't grow up with much furniture in our house. We had a lot of cats, so there was a twin bed as our couch in the living room. So this guy had furniture and you don't even sit on. And he gave me the advice one day after I got my GED. He says, "Christopher, have you ever thought about going to college?" And I'm like, I wanted to be nice, but I'm like, no, I'm stupid. Like I was literally called stupid from my mom all the time. I thought that was my middle name. I didn't do very good in school because I had a vision and a hearing problem that nobody tested me on. So I sat in the back of the class. I couldn't see the board. I couldn't hear very well. And every once in a while I would raise my hand and think I get the answer right. And I didn't. And the teacher would be like, "What are you, stupid?" Back in the old days when the teachers didn't really have that social consciousness. And so when he said college, I'm like, "Are you crazy? What are you asking from me, dude?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's right. I'm dating your daughter." And so this is what I tell everybody all the time. Like, the reason I'm here today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, write this down. I kept taking imperfect action every day. So when he said go to college, I had my GED. I went to Golden West Community College in Huntington Beach, and I was scared to death, Peggy. I was scared that they were going to laugh at me. I had long hair. I was smoking cigarettes, and I walked up to the admissions door, and I was just like, and this is what it is, guys. You just got to keep going, keep taking that imperfect action. I opened the door and I said, all I have to do is open the door. The next thing all I'd have to do is just ask the person, "How do I come to school here?" And I walked in and I said, "Hi." I said, "I have no idea what I'm doing." I said, "But I'd like to come to school here. Can you help me?" And if they laugh or whatever, at least I did that part, and I can go back and say, "Nope, I can't go to school there." And they said, "Sure, no problem." And 3 hours later, I walked out with my first class, which was an interpersonal communications class, which was crazy for me, but it was one of the best classes I ever took in my entire college career. And then from that moment forward, I got my book and everything, and I had one class, and I was so stoked. And it was like, back in those days, it was very affordable. And I was so proud of myself. And I went back and I told Bill and his wife, and I said, "I'm a college student now." And then it took me 12 years of dedicated time, but then I ultimately graduated with my master's degree, like you said before. The same year I bought my first house, because now I own 2 houses. And it was a crazy ride. I got my bachelor's degree. And then after that, I was out of school for a couple of months, and I didn't know what to do with myself because I had been in school for so long, and I had dedicated all of my time, all of my extra time to studying and studying groups. I went the accelerated course through University of Phoenix. And so I went back and I thought, is it good enough to have my bachelor's degree? Because I kept hearing like everybody has a bachelor's degree. I'm like, how many people have a master's degree? Wouldn't it be cool to say I was a homeless guy that got a master's degree? So I went back and got my master's degree, and And then I stopped there because I was like, PhD, nah, I'm not that into school. So yeah, it was an amazing ride. It was very challenging, but I kept working full time during the time. I did an internship at Virgin Records during that time because I wanted to get in the music industry because I love music, as you can tell. And yeah, it was insane, but I'm so happy I did it.
Some people are just blessed, but innately like born with that. They know their purpose, right? And if you can ever get paid a paycheck to actually do your purpose and passion, like that's the design, that's amazing, but it's not normal. It's not, I shouldn't say normal, it's not common, because
Right.
many times our purpose and passion is on the creative side, where it is music or art or writing or, even coaching today. Everybody thinks they're a coach. I can't even. I always say there's eyelash coaches out there. Not joking. Hashtag joking, not joking, because there are. But I believe that, you and I have this connection in the sense that we really knew it was to serve other people and to help other people help themselves. And I remember it was 2015 or so. I was working at the University of Colorado, and I'd been managing this huge, 15 teams working for the ABC television show, Extreme Weight Loss, their boot camp version of it.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was blessing and helping all these coaches. And I had like 25 coaches, but I was doing it under the hat and book and program of someone else and working 100 hours a week. And it's not like I needed this, right? But I could only do it so long before I finally said, hey, I'm going to go off and do my own thing. I can do this. But I would just say to people listening is that deep in your heart and soul, you know what your purpose and passion is. What's the tough part is if somebody doesn't see it, and I felt like I was 10 years ahead, that's the tough part. So shift like you did. You were blessed that you had some really good mentors eventually in your life. You guys find that tribe that sees your light, that boom, sees that energy, whatever, and says, what is this? Because it's a drug, right? We know when we're aligned. And I believe you had that. And that's why you're where you are today. Yes, highly educated, for sure. Best-selling author, speaker, corporate America, all those things. And now I'm going to ask you, now you're driving around town, you see the homeless like you did, you're going back to like your streets, right? And when you go Orange County, I can't imagine, bud, like the emotion of just going, I was on that parking lot over there and then we shifted and moved. But as you go back, do you feel like the population has changed? Because previously in the world, it was about 80% white males who drank. And that was really what we thought it was. Now it's shifting to like 60-40 in the sense of male and 40 being kids and families. So when you look, do you see a different population than you did as a teen?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's all demographics now. It's all shapes and sizes. It's everybody. I mean, like you said that before so eloquently, a lot of people are, not everybody, that's a generalization, but a lot of people are one paycheck away, and especially with the rent crisis and the housing crisis and everything that's been going on, the how the housing prices and everything else just keeps going up. It's ridiculous how much stuff costs. Like I find out from my friends, they're renting a 2-bedroom apartment for more than my mortgage is. And I've got a 5-bedroom house with a pool and a jacuzzi and da. It's insane what is going on. The fact that we can't find affordable housing for individuals and we can't rehabilitate them. It's like the fact that they want people on the street, and it breaks my heart because, so many good people out there just need a break. They just need an opportunity, but it doesn't seem like there is any out there. There's all these social programs and, but what does it take to qualify for that? And I found through people that have been homeless, like just to go to a homeless shelter, like they tell you to give up your shopping cart. Well, you can't give up your shopping cart because that has all your stuff in it. So most of the people don't want to go to the shelters because there's so many rules. And then it's like, you're sleeping in a cot next to somebody else. They'd rather be on the street because it's a little bit safer and they don't have to give up their possessions, or if they have animals, if they have a dog or something like that. It's just heartbreaking, especially when you see kids and stuff like that. My heart just goes out to them.
In Christopher's book that's going to be coming out shortly, It's You and Me, Kid, is, not only personal, not only, you guys, seriously, personal, transparent, authentic, heart, pictures, yes. And he's also a media partner of us for this Unsheltered Project book. And again, you can go on my website and see about that. The main thing is that we have this mission and vision and passion to change the narrative of what homeless and unsheltered means. And the thing that makes my blood boil is, as a coach, I've always said who, what, where, why, when, and how. Like it's the 6 W's, because how has a W. And so we know the who. Now we pretty much know the who. We kind of know the what. We know the where. We know the when. right? And we know kind of how they get there, but one thing we don't know is the why, because we're not having conversations. We're throwing programs and money at stuff that we don't know what the hell these people need, right? We don't know why they got there. We don't know what to help, or how to help. We have another gal that I met about 6 months ago, and she was going to, and I want to get this right, but I'm going to kind of end up paraphrasing. She has not been homeless. And she would go to this gas station every single day. And outside was a gentleman with his little sign. He was respectful. He never begged. He had his little thing. And she would go and say hi to him. And she kept a case of water and some granola bars and crackers, like you said. Yep. And she didn't give him money. She would give him that and he would say thank you. And she would go in. And so then at one point in time, there were several weeks that she didn't go to that particular place. The next time she went, Christopher, that gentleman said, like, I'm going to need tissue. Where have you been? So he saw her, but we act like we don't see them. But right. That conversation, that look in the eyes, that how did you get here? How was your day? Can change somebody's life, right?
Yes. Yes. They just want to feel human. They don't feel human anymore. They don't feel seen. They feel like they're just a POS. Yeah. I talk to so many people, people just sit there and shun me. They don't look at me. They don't want to, they think I'm going to ask them for money. Like, I'm not going to ask them for money, but it'd just be nice to have somebody say, hi, how are you? Or, do you need anything or something like that? Just to feel human. I mentor at-risk kids. So I mentor kids that have been in and out of homelessness and foster care and whatnot. And so that's my biggest area of focus, is helping the kids. And the stories that I've heard, of how people have treated them, spitting on them and saying, oh, you're a drug addict and you're this and that, when the person's never done drugs before. It's heartbreaking. People are, there's so many people out there that have a beautiful heart that need to demonstrate that more more than ever. There's so many bad people out there that are just like, thinking the fact that the cities, I know here in California, I'm sure, and I don't know if it's anywhere else, but there's cities within California that will take their homeless and bus them, here to Riverside, like Irvine will bus their homeless people to Riverside, because Riverside has an amazing homeless program for people, especially getting homeless veterans off the streets and whatnot. So other cities are busing their homeless here. And it's like, they just feel like, no, this is my home. This is where I want to live. I just want to get back on my feet. But now they're being bused somewhere else. It's just, It's heartbreaking.
And you bring up a good point. What we really what we're trying to focus on now is that this is truly a global issue. And the last global issue, other than war that randomly happens, the last global issue that we all connected was COVID.
Yeah.
And homelessness is one of those topics. Many people are dirty because where are they going to shower? Where are they going to wash their clothes? Where are they going to get new shoes? And so it doesn't mean that there's mental health always, right? You've been there, done that. All right. I want to ask you, where do you see the future going right now? What are your thoughts having been there? What were the missing pieces you needed and what we're still not feeling? Like, what are your thoughts on where we are today?
I think, that's such a broad question. There's so many aspects of it. We need our elected officials to get involved in it. We need more mental health opportunities for them. We need to educate these individuals, because what got me out of it was having one dude say, Chris, why don't you go back and get your GD? Why don't you go to college? He gave me hope. He gave me opportunity, because I'd never seen that before. I was held back all the time because my mother wanted me to stay there and serve her all those times. We need people to sit there and say, like myself, like, take that imperfect action every single day. Like, what can you do? I've got a friend of mine, Stephen Goodwin Murphy. He's homeless. He's living in his car, but he's showing people how to do this little side hustle. He's got a cell phone. He got a gym membership. So he goes and takes a shower every day. He set up his car with a little inverter, and, he doesn't have any money. He's wound up just ground sourcing this all stuff. And he's showing like how to be homeless and how to still be effective, how to have a side hustle, how to still offer something. So I think it's such a multifaceted issue. And I just wish that we had some of these people out there that have tens and tens of millions and billions of dollars, that if they could all collaborate and start creating something, create a city out in the desert, and start providing, all services and get them rehabilitated. But to some people's credit, there are people out there that want that type of lifestyle, but there's so many people out there that don't, and they just need they just need that little bit. If we give them that little bit, but again, the prison system's so corrupt. I never even knew this. How much money is made off of the prison system and getting people. That's why people are sitting in the prison, and how many, it's just nasty. It's super nasty. And I'm afraid of the future of our country. And that's one of the reasons why I don't follow the news or follow politics. I get headlines and I know what's going on. My wife follows all that, but it's just heartbreaking to me to see people in pain and suffering when there's so much abundance. There's enough for everybody. It's crazy.
You remember back in the day, and, again, the school thing with being a teen, I know you remember this, but you may not have experienced it firsthand. So when they got rid of physical education in school, of course, I was a trainer back then. I had teenagers and they were athletes. And it's like, that's so great to keep them moving during the day. I mean, they were competitive athletes. I remember going to the school and talking to the school, and I said, what purpose does this serve that we're not going to have our children, they're more cognitive. Boom, done, right? Like you said,
all sorts. There's 10 wins for keeping them exercising.
Yeah. Oh, you can, yeah. And duh. Right. We kind of know those things. So here, in 89 or whatever. So gazillion years ago, when I was in corporate wellness, we did a project, which I believe is going back to the teenage thing in high school. I think a couple of things. They should take emotional resiliency in a way to communicate, like our relationships with our partners.
Yes.
Like learn how to communicate, learn how to listen, learn how to shut your pie hole. We have one mouth, two ears. Let's go.
Yes.
That has to be taught. And we have to force them to volunteer, or you don't get the credit and you don't graduate, because they're not exposed. Mm-hmm. Many are still having a hard time with economy to make ends meet, that they're still living in the basement at home, which, no judgment, let's just say. Another thing that you said back on the mentor thing and the tribe thing that I'm just learning as well is how they help each other on the streets. Look out for each other. And that when one group gets in trouble for being on the steps in San Diego, because they have a tent city, and they get in trouble for being here, because tent cities and homes have so many damn rules. You're right. Hey. Mm-hmm. So they move. They're actually transient within themselves. And for some, if they're homeless for a long period of time and they know they're going to lose their tribe, that's what keeps them there. My point is, we have to find our tribes, right? It doesn't just have to be if you're a coach, another coach. You shouldn't. You should be diverse as hell. Have a coach, have an English teacher, have somebody who has been homeless or whatever. But what would you recommend as a call to action to our listeners or viewers out there, how they can help make a difference we can do baby steps, right, bud? Mm-hmm. What would you say give for a call to action?
Go out there and just do something. I mean, find an aspect of society that you're passionate about helping, whether it's single moms, or the youth of America. I mean, I think everybody should, like you said, if you have kids that are old enough, my son's not quite old enough yet, but if you have kids, go volunteer at a soup kitchen, go volunteer and sit there and get them involved in that, and ask them to go back and ask their classrooms what it is that they can possibly do. If they can have some sort of school drive to help these individuals, it all takes us to go let them know that we care. So many times they just don't feel like we care. They just feel like they're dejected opportunities for society, and that they're just, they're illegal and they're all this stuff. We have to go out there and take the opportunity to make them feel human. Because I know when I mentor these kids, they feel like it's hopeless. Like, oh, I'm just meant to be in the prison system. I'm just meant to be, and like, and when I talk to them over and over again, they're like, I've said, if I can go from being a 7th grade homeless dropout, et cetera, and build my life back up, you can. It's just a matter of let's find a way to give you some skills. Can I just teach you how to have communication processes? Because a lot of our youth don't have that. I think the opportunity is with our youth to help them be the next generation for advocacy and change and resiliency. So I think, like you said, mentoring our teenagers now to be advocates for the homeless population and the mental health situation, and to get in elected office to make a difference instead of these corrupt politicians. Right. I think that's a huge way of doing it. But just going out in your community, find a family, and maybe you can sponsor them, and maybe you can give them a little bit. Maybe you can find out, what it is that they might need, or maybe, what did you used to do? Oh, you used to be a cashier. Well, hey, let me put a note on Nextdoor and ask a bunch of people, hey, does anybody have an opening for a cashier right now? And being able to help that way. If we could just take in and sponsor a few families, and everybody does that who's in an affluent position, we can make a difference. But so many people don't want to be bothered because they're afraid they're going to be, I don't want to be burglarized or taken advantage of or anything else.
And if we look at the creativity side, right, because that can be very, you can painting, right, offering that space. So I talked to a gal a couple of weeks ago who in her store, she wasn't going to give them money. She wanted to, and of course she wanted to make sure she was safe, but she had this little room. So she would offer to whomever was homeless or unsheltered wanted to come in. She provided painting supplies. They could journal, they could write poetry, and that relationship, something super productive like that, and lifting themselves up, right? Big deal. The other thing is hygiene stuff. That's what I was going to say till I pinged off in the late 90s, way back then, we did these little things, and those supplies, as you know, are hard to come by. The little bars of soap, we didn't do razors or anything like that, but the shampoos, I mean, people can just hand off things that
Make
aren't.
little bags, put them in your car.
Yeah, exactly. Christopher, I want, as we tie up today, and I'll tell you guys, this is always fun. It's always informative. I love being with this guy. Can you make sure that, let's talk about where people can find you, how they can watch what you're doing today.
The easiest part is just to go noexcusescoach.com, noexcusescoach.com. You guys can go there. You can see my videos. You can see my coaching. You can see my story. You could sign up for advanced opportunities to get the book. It's just you and me, kid. They can find my podcast. My podcasts are chock full of real world opportunities for you to shift your mindset and change the way you look at the world and the way you look at yourself. And yeah, noexcusescoach.com.
Oh my God, buddy. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. I mean, spearheading this is amazing. You're always an advocacy for change, and I just appreciate and honor you.
Oh my God. Hashtag love you. All right. I want to give a call to action, and then we're going to let you guys go. I'm going to ask you guys to read an article, watch a video, inform yourself about this topic, about homelessness and unsheltered. I want to ask you to just really think about judgment. Think about, do you really know the story of what's going on? And I'm going to ask you to just have some compassion, whether you're driving down the road and you take a look. I just would like you to consider kind of changing your internal story. You can catch me every second and fourth Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. I've got, Cornelia Stephanie, who is an amazing energy guru, is going to be on my next show. So you guys, Christopher, I want to say goodbye to you. I want to say goodbye to my producer, Sierra. And till next time, America.
Till next time. Thank you for having me, Peggy. You're awesome.
Okay.
You've been listening to The Coach Peggy Show, all things wellness with Coach Peggy Wilms. Tune in live on transformationtalkradio.com, where Coach Peggy talks all things wellness. Not just nutrition and fitness, but about all things, about your money, your lifestyle, your beliefs, and even romance. The Coach Peggy Show, bold, badass, and never half in. For more information or to connect with Coach Peggy, visit allthingswellness.com.